Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to BSing Sports, where we are all at our own homes. Ryan, I enjoyed and loved having you here this past week. It sucked that we had a hurricane and had to postpone, but I think we did a great job on that show there at 3OG. For those of you who followed and listened and commented, we appreciate every little bit of it, so thank you for all of that. We are Timmy posting comments in the chat for just Ryan and I to see is making me laugh now. You guys know why we're here as fans. You know we're about to do our recap of Week 4 in the NFL. I don't know about Timmy and Ryan, but I'm pretty effing stoked that my Eagles are 4-0.
Absolutely.
And we will get to that.
Eagles now?
No. We're going to get to it. We have an entire Thursday show planned for just the Phillies and the Eagles. We'll get to them. So let's break it down. Let's get into it. How you guys doing, man?
I'm doing better. Always tired, but I get used to it. How about you guys? Ryan, how was your drive?
Dude, I was exhausted yesterday when I got home. I didn't do anything. I didn't log into my classes until today, and even then I didn't do any of my schoolwork. And none of the initial stuff's due till tomorrow, so I'll do it then. But yeah, I got a little bit to do, a little bit of catching up to do.
Last minute for everything. Love it.
Procrastination at its finest.
I got nothing. I got nothing else to do tomorrow. I got a hearing appointment at 9:30, but I can bang all the schoolwork out, no problem.
Okay.
Just show off the banner there for a second. This banner was hanging behind us while we were doing the show at Three Odd Guys. That's where you might recognize it. All right, let's just get right into it and just break it down game by game. Let's do our thing, right? So Thursday Night Football, we already discussed.
One second. I would like to point out that I won last week.
Technically, you and Ryan tied, but with the Bills tiebreaker.
I was about to say, technically, Tim did win, and now him and I have the same exact record from the season.
Oh, I know. I've got it all typed in. I did it right before I hopped on.
So Tim and I have the same amount of losses. Bill and I have the same amount of wins.
That is not true.
You got
I have 43 victories, 22.
I'm talking about last week.
Oh, yes. That is correct.
Yeah.
So just for everybody to know, the Bills game we did make at the Three Odd Guys a double points game, and as such, Tim and I get it correct picking the Bills, which gives Tim an 11-6 week, whereas he would have been 10-6, which is what Ryan finished. Because I picked the Bills, I go 10-7 rather than 9-7. The double points there really helped me out.
Let's talk about that game real quick.
All right,
yes,
do that one first.
Good job by the Bills there. With the comeback victory, it was not the most ideal conditions. The remnants of Hurricane Ian were up there and are still currently up there. According to my mom, it says it's supposed to be kind of gloomy there for about 5 days, which is a little unfortunate. However, this is back-to-back weeks that the Ravens have blown 17-plus point leads at home.
Mm-hmm.
At home. They didn't score a single point in the second half. We'll get to the obvious. Bill, I know you kind of were hosting the show, but let's start out with 4th and short on the 2-yard line. Instead of kicking the field goal to go up by 3, less than 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, Ravens go for it, don't convert. Do we like the decision? Tim?
Absolutely not. You got the best kicker in the league. Take the points. Put it in Josh Allen's hand. Maybe he makes the same mistake like he did in Miami. Make a bad throw like Lamar Jackson did on that 4th and 2nd with the interception. So I would give it to Justin Tucker, let him get the 3 points. Like you said, the weather was bad there, so who knows? Anything could have happened. A fumble, miscue, anything could have happened. So you got to take the points at that point.
Bill?
Yeah, I'm going to completely disagree with that. I love it. Listen, if this works out, they score the touchdown here, nobody's talking about this play.
Dude,
and if they are, they're definitely not talking about it in a negative light. Here's the reality of it is
you are super alone in that, and I love it. I love it. You brought up the same point I was going to bring up. If that stuff worked right there, nobody would be talking about it.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not even like a little bit upset at the idea of at the thought of Harbaugh doing this. I know that you have the best kicker in football. You haven't scored points the entire second half. And what have the Bills done the entire second half? Score points. You're going to give the ball back to Josh Allen with a 3-point lead, when in reality, he could very easily run the clock down, go down the field and score a touchdown to beat you with no time left on the clock because he's Josh Allen. I get that he might be in a slight slump to reference Jake's comment or talking 215's comment. Thanks, boys, for joining in. However, he's still the best quarterback in football, to also quote the rest of that little line there. So taking 3 points there doesn't guarantee you a victory. It doesn't guarantee you overtime. All it guarantees is that you have 3 points on the board. Now, you score a touchdown, and now the Bills are in a little bit of a tighter spot. They can't just go down the field to kick a field goal to go into overtime. They have to score a touchdown to get into overtime just to be in overtime. I love it. I absolutely love the call. I think it was gutsy. It was smart. And as I pointed out, and Ryan also alliterated to, you make it, no one's talking about it.
You need a better play call at that point then.
So here's my take on it is everything's got to be situational. You look back to when the Ravens beat the Chiefs last year and they went forward on 4th down in their own territory up by 3 points. That a lot of people have been referencing that singular play where Lamar ran it and went for it and iced the game there. This is a completely different scenario. The Ravens had all the momentum in that game, and the Ravens had no momentum in this game. They hadn't scored any points in the second half. Jake talking 2-on-5 stole the words right out of my mouth. I like it more if they hadn't just allowed 17 unanswered points. The Ravens had no momentum in this game at all. If they were driving the ball consistently on offense, if it was going to be no struggle, no problem to get into the end zone there, it's a high-scoring game. Completely different scenario. You have nothing going for you. Your quarterback is struggling, playing in the pouring rain. Nothing's going. You got to take the points here and put the pressure on Buffalo because with the weather conditions, with it being in Baltimore, you never know what's going to happen. The play calling that Buffalo had on the last drive, the way that they executed plays, everything would have changed drastically had they started that drive down by 3 points instead of in a tie football game. Now, this brings into the other half of this. If you are going to go for it there and you are Lamar Jackson, you made the worst possible decision on the face of the earth. If you throw that football out of the back of the end zone, 10 yards away from the nearest player, the Bills start that drive on their own 2-yard line. You instead threw an interception in the end zone in double coverage to either Mark Andrews or Rashad Bateman. Both of them were kind of in the area, so I don't really know who it was to. And they start the ball at their own 20. To me, you got to take the points simply because of the situation that was around you. You have to be a little bit more aware. I understand John Harbaugh's aggressiveness. However, this says something largely about the defense in the fact that John Harbaugh has absolutely no confidence his defense can stop anybody. And I don't think that they should. I think a lot of people have this weird confirmation bias from past decades that the Ravens defense is still some elite powerhouse like Ed Reed and Ray Lewis are still back there. This is a really young secondary. I'll let you touch on that comment in a second because I know you're itching for it. This is a really young secondary that has gotten burnt game after game. They look terrible. They just look brand new, out of sync. This is not a good defense in Baltimore by any stretch of the imagination. And to put the pressure on them like that in a tie game, not a good decision by John Harbaugh. I completely disagree with this.
Yeah, Talking 215 comes up with the statement of, imagine if Hurts, meaning Jalen Hurts of the Eagles, had made that same decision, he would be crucified. You are 100% correct. There is no doubt in my mind, not even just in Philadelphia, but for the entire NFL coverage, they would be absolutely roasting Jalen Hurts if he made the same type of decision. Now, having said that, first play or first drive of the game in the Eagles game, and I know that we'll get to it. I don't want to really harp on it really for a long time. He made a bad throw, and it was a pick six, and he answered in reference to Jalen Hurts. However, if you're looking back at this Ravens-Bills game, the entire second half, Lamar Jackson looked depleted. He looked defeated. And other than that last drive where he got them down the field and then threw the interception, he did not look good after halftime. Flat out did not look good. So for Harbaugh to put the game in his hands at that point in time, again, I still love the decision. It may have been the wrong decision now, but had he gotten it, had he shown a little bit of sliver of life and Harbaugh showed trust in his quarterback, like it'd be a completely different conversation, and that's the point that needs to be made.
So I get what you're saying, Bill, but they need to have a better game plan or a better fourth down play. They need to have a better one, plain and simple.
I thought the play decision was good. Get Lamar out of the pocket, give him the option to either run the football or throw. He just made a really, really bad decision. I have a problem with them going for it. I have a problem with the throw that they made. It says, don't post this comment, Bill. You obviously can't read. Yeah, I have no problem with with the play that was called. That is the only thing that I don't have a problem with in this scenario was the play that was called. I hate the fact that they called it, and I hate the fact that Lamar did what he did.
I don't agree with that, Ken Brandt. They are a good team still. They will figure it out, in my opinion.
How concerned are we about the Ravens, though? I mean, I had them winning the division. I know everybody had them in the top half at least, probably in an AFC wildcard spot. How concerned are we about the Ravens now? Losing big games at home.
They're still make the playoffs.
See, I would normally have agreed with you, but the Browns are playing some good football.
The Browns gets lost to the Falcons. Don't go there.
I am aware of that. However, the Browns are still playing well. Look, the Falcons are more than, and we admitted this on last week's show, the Falcons are more than we thought they were. We'll get to that. The Falcons are more than we thought we thought they were. Mariota's playing really, really well. Drake London is showing out as a rookie. I know that Kyle Pitts hasn't been super involved, but he's still Kyle Pitts, which means he's drawing double coverage, which is why Drake London is kind of really breaking out. Cordarrelle Patterson's hurt. I get it. Their offensive line isn't as terrible as we thought it was going to be. This is a team that's really surprising me. So the Falcon for you to be like, oh, they just lost to the Falcons, like that doesn't mean anything. They're an NFL team. They're all NFL players, and sometimes you lose bad games. Look at the Rams last night against the Niners, who we all thought were going to win. Like, it's the NFL, and these types of games happen.
To be fair, the 49ers have the Rams number. I think that's a little bit different of a scenario, but I definitely agree with your general point of this is why you play the games. There are a lot of teams that we thought were going to be really bad to start the year that are 2-2. I mean, Seattle's 2-2, Detroit's 1-3, but they lead the NFL in points by a wide margin.
It's not even close.
Can I give you Marcus Mariota stats for last week?
I mean, he was not good. Let's be honest. Like, he was not good. I don't think that was a good game for either team personally. I think that was probably one of the bottom 3 games of this past week, with the crown of that obviously going to the Bears and the Giants. If you like professional football, that was an awful game. We'll get into that one in a second. But, yeah, so I just wanted to touch on the Ravens. I'm deeply concerned about the Ravens right now because to blow back-to-back 3-score games at home, playoff teams don't do that. That can't happen. I don't care how young your secondary is. That means 2 things are happening. 1, your offense has no way to ice the game, which we've been kind of sitting here beating the Eagles up on for a while. Fortunately, their defense has stepped up. And 2, your defense is just trash. I mean, they gave up 28 points in the 4th quarter to Miami. They scored 3/4 of their points in 1 quarter. The Ravens' defense is going to cost them games, and they are deeply in trouble.
Yeah, so to agree with you there, I am worried about the Ravens.
All right. So the Ravens got a tough matchup this week, divisional rival.
Let's do
the prediction later.
Let's go down the order because now we're bouncing all over the damn.
Yeah, we're 15 minutes in and we've gone over one game.
All right, so the first game was the Thursday night game. We all took the Bengals. We already discussed it on our predictions for Week 4 show, and then Ryan and I covered it again on Sunday. Vikings Saints.
Who did everybody take in that Ravens game? Oh yeah, that was the double point game. I took the Ravens. You guys took the Bills.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah.
I'm never taking the Ravens again.
Vikings Saints out in London, 9:30 a.m. game. This game ended up being a lot better than any of us could have predicted. Yes, the Vikings still come out on top. You're talking a double doink away from overtime on a 9:30 game in London. That would have been great for the London thing. Huh?
61-yard field goal too.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, and he had already hit a 60-yard field goal earlier in the game. Like, I understand the reason to go for the field goal. Like, I get it. It's unfortunate. He had the distance. He had the leg. He just double doinked it. But ultimately, Kirk Cousins and that offense did enough to be victorious. And I'm not just saying like, oh, they did enough. Andy Dalton was playing well. The Kamaraless Saints put up a fight. So I mean, it was a way better game than I could have predicted. Tim, give me your thoughts on the Vikings Saints.
So it was a good game. I didn't get a chance. I watched like the last 5 minutes of the game, unfortunately.
That's all you needed to see, really.
I was out food shopping, getting food for the week. But from what I saw from replays and everything, it looked like that Vikings offense kind of struggling, to be honest. They have so many weapons that they're not using. Like Dalvin Cook's only getting 10 carries per game. He's not even getting passing work like the coach wanted. JJ finally bounced back. Justin Jefferson finally bounced back and had a good game. But they still got Adam Thielen there. Even Addis, the backup running back name, Madison.
Yeah, Madison scored a touchdown.
You can start using him in the slot. Like, they have so many weapons they need to start utilizing more. And the Saints could play good defense the whole time, too, also. Yeah, Ryan.
Yeah, so Tom McCarthy, first off, saying Sunday morning football is fantastic. I agree. Bill and I have sat here in the last couple episodes and talked about how the NFL isn't going to 0% chance because of money, but they probably, for the safety of players and the productivity of games, should probably just abandon Thursday night football and move it to either Friday night or Sunday morning. I mean, it'd be pretty sweet to wake up at 9 and you have 2 9:30 a.m. games off the rip. You get football all day. That to me, that'd be awesome. But we'll talk about that in a different show. To cover this game, I'm concerned about the Vikings. We all sat on the preseason prediction show and predicted that the Vikings were going to win this division. Nope, no shot. You cannot go into the red zone as many times as the Vikings did and kick field goal after field goal and have drive stall after drive stall against a Kamara-less, Michael Thomas-less, Jameis Winston-less Saints team. That game was way closer than it should have been. The Vikings blew them out. They didn't capitalize on their chances. And if you go ahead and you put the Vikings up against Green Bay again, and they do stuff like that, lose. They do that against the Eagles, lose. We already saw that. I mean, you take the Eagles game, you take this game, they're just not capitalizing on their chances in the red zone. I don't think that maybe Kevin O'Connell is the offensive genius that we all thought he was. So that's something to keep an eye on too. My worry level, if the Ravens defense is at a 10, it's like an 8 for the Vikings offense. And yes, they scored 28 points, but truthfully, they should have scored way more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. You and I were talking about this game at 3 Odd Guys while it was finishing up. We were discussing the ins and outs of why the Vikings didn't put this game away early. And everything you just said is 100% true. The fact that you can't finish drives is a huge problem. Now, Dalvin Cook's dealing with a separated shoulder. He probably should have never been on the field. We had that conversation as well. You're really putting the risk of the health of the player at risk, especially when he's your franchise running back. Madison, I can't think of his first name. Madison is just not as good as a running back. Alexander Madison is not as good of a running back as Dalvin Cook, and I totally get that. And you're trying to play to win. You come off of a victory against Green Bay. You go to Philly, you get blown out, embarrassing. You almost lose to the Lions, like you're desperate for a win. I get it. But just like I said about the Falcons, the Lions are not the team that we thought they were going to be. A, B, I'm also worried about the Vikings. If you can't finish drives, you are going to lose games. This is a team that I said was going to win the division, and right now I definitely don't think they're winning the division. I made a mistake in our preseason predictions, and here I am to admit Bill was wrong.
If I could go back and change my preseason prediction to the Packers, I would. I mean, even after the first week, they got blown out the first week last year too, and they won the division. So maybe it's time that we just stop doubting Aaron Rodgers and realize that he owns the NFC North.
Yeah. Not only the Bay, but the North.
Tim, I'm going to let you start off with I really don't even want to talk about this damn game. Giants and Bears.
God, dude.
Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, man.
This was a bad game from top to bottom. Daniel Jones played like crap. Saquon Barkley, I know he put up 146 yards, but he had two really long runs. Saquon Barkley
played quarterback at one point. I mean, we got to talk about that for a second. That was probably the only thing that's worth talking about in this game, because if you're a fan of NFL professional football, you would have rather watched high schoolers play than these guys. This game was awful.
Sorry, Timmy. I didn't mean to cut you off, Dad.
So Daniel Jones went down with a leg injury. Then Tyvon got hit in the head, and he went down with a concussion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Saquon stepped up, absolutely stepped up. You want me on the team? I will. Put the team on my back. And he put the team on his back. Like you said, 146 yards, got them down in the end zone enough, end zone, kick field goals. The Bears team isn't a good team. We know that. And it proved that the Giants had a good running back. They have a good running back. Got on.
Yeah, I mean, Saquon Barkley is the only legitimate weapon out there at this point, because yes, Daniel Jones is in the huddle. Yes, Daniel Jones is calling the plays. Daniel Jones was lined up wide like 4 or 5 plays in a row, and they were running out of the Wildcat. And Truthfully, I think that was because they wanted the Bears to keep a defensive package on the field that would, at least cover the fact that somebody might throw the football. But this was mind-blowing. How do you let the only guy that's going to touch the ball the whole play run for 146 yards on you? Both the quarterback. Why are you not stacking?
You're bad.
8, 9, like they're. These new head coaches, Matt Eberflus, Nathaniel Hackett, these guys look terrible, man. They just can't figure it out, and I can't understand what is wrong with this organization. Justin Fields looked terrible again. Outside of one, I think 3/4 of his his passing yards came on 3 plays. He just looks terrible. The whole Bears offense looks terrible outside of the running backs. Khalil Herbert does pretty well with the touches he gets, but they're a bad organization, man. And the Giants, kudos to them. They're looking in the right direction. 3-1 under Brian Daboll. Now, granted, they haven't actually beaten any good teams yet. If you kind of notice, the NFL schedule has a lot of bad teams, quote unquote bad teams playing against each other early, and a lot of the good teams playing against each other early. I think that levels out. But the Giants are beating who's across from them. They're 3-1 right now, and in 3rd place in the NFC East. The best division in football right now, by the way.
It is.
Yeah, you've got a 4-0 team, a 3-1 team, a 3-1 team, and a 1-3 team.
That was another thing we were wrong about, too. The Commanders look like trash, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. Jets. Jets.
I'm not even mad you just said that because Zach Wilson in the 4th quarter really turned up. I'll go ahead and lead this one up. This was another not that great game. Mitch Trubisky obviously got benched for Kenny Pickett, who looked like
he ran for 2 touchdowns.
What's up?
He ran for 2 touchdowns. He did look like a rookie.
He also threw 3 picks, but every incompletion he had, fun fact, was an interception. So technically, none of his passes hit the ground. They were all completed to somebody, but Kenny Pickett stepped in, and for stepping in the middle of the game, I'll say he looked really good. Now, granted, the Jets were obviously game planning for Mitch Trubisky and not Kenny Pickett, but that's a different side of the story. I want to talk about Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson looked bad in the first half, looked like he was shaking off a knee injury. Look, when you're at the 29-yard line, closing seconds of the first half, and you make that throw that he did and you get intercepted, that's the learning curve. You can't make that throw. You're already in field goal position. The game's 10-6, or 10-3. You need points, man. Go ahead and make a safe play. Keep yourselves in field goal position. You don't got to make that risky throw. That's a learning curve. And he learned real quick because in the 4th quarter, he looked fantastic. Corey Davis finding him wide open.
Completely different quarterback in the 4th
found Garrett Wilson on a couple different plays. He looked good in the 4th quarter. Coming back from a knee injury, there's still some questions to be answered. I thought he looked pretty good, and I think that the Jets are heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree with that, Ryan. I said it in all season. I'm really big on Zach Wilson, and I think he could be a great quarterback in the NFL if he has the right coach and the right players around him. And the Jets are putting the right players around him. And even the coaching isn't bad right now. They're winning the games that they need to start winning. They're moving in the right direction. But let's talk about the Steelers' defense. They're doing everything they can to keep them in games, and they're tired. Playing down, they're tired. Like they need rest, and the offense is not helping them at all. Giving them good rest.
Second part of that is, unlike a lot of other teams, the Steelers' best player isn't on offense. It's not Deontay Johnson. It's not Najee Harris. It's not the quarterback. It's TJ Watt. He's not out there right now. He's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm right there with both of you. To your point, when the defense is on the field for almost 40 minutes a game, they're going to be cooked by the end of it. What happens at the end of the game is the 4th quarter, where Zach Wilson looks like an elite player. And that's just the reality of it. You got Mitch Trubisky, who I believe threw 2 interceptions and had a fumble lost. I
think it's 1 interception and a fumble loss. Yeah,
and then Pickett comes in, throws 3 interceptions. Now again, Pickett did run for 2 touchdowns. He did sustain a pair of.
And one of the interceptions was a Hail Mary at the end of the game. Let's add some context.
That is true as well. But overall, when your defense is on the field that long, they're going to be tired, and the offense is already going to be 4 steps ahead because of how tired you are. And then, I mean, listen, Zach Wilson looked like a player that was coming and had some rust.
Now, Kenny Pickett has been named the starter, fourth going. That I guess Mike Tomlin's like, well, I'm desperate to avoid my first losing season because Kenny Pickett gets his first career start against the Buffalo Bills. Good luck, young man.
I got to give Timmy credit where it's due. You asked us last week when we thought Pickett takes over. You and I said probably not till the end of the season. Timmy said halftime of this game. And kudos to you, Tim, for at least getting during this game correct.
I'm shocked. I mean, that now going back to Trubisky is a bad move. As a look for the organization, you drafted the kid in the first round, you put him in the game. It's time to let him go. His first start's going to be against Buffalo. This is not going to be pretty.
Yeah, I would definitely throw Trubisky back out there on it.
I think that sends
Ryan,
the wrong message.
Exactly. I think Ryan's right. I think that sends the wrong message to throw Trubisky back out there. Not only that, but while Tomlin hasn't had a losing season, he hasn't advanced in the playoffs in like 6 years. So the organization's probably looking at him a little bit funny. If he can't find ways to win and be a winning coach again, like a consistently winning coach, winning playoff games, because that's all that matters to franchise owners is how many playoff games have you won, how many Super Bowls have you gotten me to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, for instance, look at Robert Kraft literally threatening Bill Belichick because he doesn't have Tom Brady and can't win games. It's what have you done for me lately? And right now, Tomlin hasn't done a whole lot. So he's going to do whatever he can to win games.
I almost feel like that the Steelers organization is waiting for Mike Tomlin to go below 500 one year so that they can mutually part ways.
It might be this year.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
Next game.
I think his time spent in Pittsburgh. But
just so the fans are all aware, I took the Jets. Timmy and Ryan both took the Steelers. In the Bears-Giants game, Ryan and I took the Giants. Timmy took the Bears. In this next game, Seahawks versus Lions, we all took the Lions, and the Seahawks won.
This game was unbelievable. This game cost me so much in fantasy because, you think about Seattle's offense and you just think about DK Metcalf and maybe Rashad Penny, and that's it. They came out and they didn't even punt. It's the first time in franchise history they had a game where they didn't punt, not one time. And the Detroit Lions answered strike for strike, which was the most surprising thing. Now, I knew that Detroit's defense was bad. We'd been on this show talking about it for a while, that Detroit's defense just isn't good. But no Sun God St. Brown, no DeAndre Swift, no DJ Chark, and they still put up 45 points. Like, is it – now, Bill, I asked you this question, I think, twice. I'm going to ask it to you again. Does Jared Goff play well enough this year to sustain, to withhold the Lions from drafting a quarterback in the first round this year?
If he keeps up the pace he's on right now, they're averaging 39.5 points a game. Yes. Yeah. Jared Goff is their quarterback of the future.
The Lions lead the league in points scored. They're ahead of the Chiefs by 11. The Lions have scored 140 points. The Chiefs have scored 129. And they're ahead of the Eagles by 20-something points. But they've also allowed the most. They've allowed 141. So the defense obviously is going to be a key next offseason. But as far as a young offense goes, you're missing easily your best running back and wide receiver, and you can still ball like that? Jeez.
Jamal Williams had a great game still, either way.
133 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Josh Reynolds also had a great game. TJ Hockenson finally stepped up and had an amazing game.
He stopped dropping passes.
Yeah. And then let's go to the Seahawks side. Penny, 130-something yards, 2 touchdowns, killed me in fantasy against Philly.
Geno Smith is playing better than Russell Wilson right now. I wonder how the Seahawks feel about that.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the two and what the two teams are doing, I know that the Broncos right now have the better record, but if you're the Seahawks, you're feeling pretty decent about Geno Smith.
The Seahawks and the Broncos have the same record.
Yeah, they're both 2-2.
That's my bad.
And they're two teams trending in very different directions.
That's right. I'm sorry. I forgot that the Broncos didn't pull that game out the other day.
Yeah, but the kudos to the Lions, man. I'll give them all the props in the world. And Seattle, they went stride for stride with them. But from a long-term perspective, I'm excited to watch the Lions. See, this is what I'm talking about. The Lions are a perfect example of like you just say something and people automatically think of, oh, like the Ravens defense. Oh, they're a good defense. No, they're not. They were a good defense maybe in 2015, but this isn't 2015. It's not even 2021 anymore. Guess what? It's 2022. The Lions are a fantastic offense. They are arguably a top 5 NFL offense for the whole season. You could make an argument right now that they will finish as a top 5 offense. Yes, they're obviously first in points scored now, talking about over the span of 17 games.
They have a top 2 offensive line.
The Lions are a team absolutely trending in the right direction with a lot of youth and a lot of talent and fantastic coaching on their sideline. This is not the same scrubby Lions team that went 0-16 back in 2004, 5. Was it right before they? Yeah, right before they drafted Matthew Stafford. This is not that same team.
Yeah. Next game on the docket. Again, all three of us got that game wrong. The Lions. We all took the Lions. Seahawks beat them. Chargers versus Texans. Ryan has been so up and about the Texans.
I called this. I said the Chargers were going to win this game by 10 or 14 points. I mean, they had a chip on their shoulder. They had something to prove after getting punched in the mouth by the Jaguars. A good Jaguars team, might I add. But the Texans just didn't stand a chance. I mean, outside of Dameon Pierce, Davis Mills does not look anything like he did last year. So obviously the Texans are going to go ahead and draft either Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or Will Levis in the draft coming up this year. That he's done in Houston, excuse me. So they're going to move on from him. But Dameon Pierce is a bright spot for them. And as far as the Chargers go, still no Keenan Allen, still no problem. Finally got Eckler involved the way that he needs to be.
Absolutely.
Tim?
80 yards, 3 touchdowns to help me beat Bill in a different league. But
help me beat Bill too. Top.
But Joshua Palmer getting more active with Keenan Allen out. That's what I like to say. No, Gary, I'm not getting fired today yet.
Careful, it's still early.
I said yet.
We got 28 minutes.
But Joshua Palmer getting more action. Mike Williams getting more involved now. I think Keenan Allen comes back and takes over Joshua Palmer because they're like the same type of wide receiver type.
Palmer still did nicely for him, but I think.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But Dameon Pierce, man, back-to-back weeks over 150 yards. No,
I think
not 150. I'm sorry, it's like 130.
Gerald Everett's really stepped up in the absence of Keenan Allen, too, the tight end for the Chargers. Truthfully, I think he has the most to lose when Keenan Allen comes back. He's been taking a lot of the similar targets that Keenan Allen usually commands. But I think, now knowing that Justin Herbert has a tight end he can rely on and will throw to for the first time in his career, that's huge for their offense. It just gives them another weapon.
Yeah, listen, you guys touched on everything. Herbert looked good. The Chargers looked good, much better than they did against the Jaguars, who Ryan, as Ryan pointed out, is a better team than we could have. Well, not me. I did predict the Jaguars to do really well. Than some people thought they were going to do. But up until about the last 4 minutes of this game, the Chargers were winning by 17 points. I mean,
the score was not indicative of how that this game went. It was not a 10-point game.
The game was never close. 10 points.
It's similar to Sunday night.
Yeah. Then you move on to that's pretty much all I had to talk about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I've been sitting in this chair since 8 a.m. I'm a little tired. Titans versus Colts. Ryan, to your credit, the only one who picked the Titans. You got this game correct. Timmy and I both took the Colts. We were wrong. The Colts look, pardon my language, like complete hammered dog shit.
They do. Completely
the opposite from what they looked like when they played the Chiefs. I don't know what Frank Reich is doing there. This team looked unprepared. It looked absolutely unready to go. And until they show me something new, I will not take the Colts in any other game this season. Again, complete hammered dog shit.
So Ryan said in the past, Matt Ryan is not the answer in Indianapolis. And I am on board with that 1,000%. He is not the answer. He's too old. He can't get out the pocket. He can't throw the ball accurately. He's not even using JT like he should be getting used. JT hurt now.
Yeah.
I mean, he might not even play Thursday. They got Najee Harris who with the receiving back. He's not even throwing him the damn ball.
Philip Lindsay.
Philip Lindsay. God.
I just had to say it.
Like, Matt Ryan's not the answer. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets benched soon, if he's not going to start stepping it up.
Ryan has said it before. There's 20 some odd million reasons why he'll be the starter.
True.
Yeah, Matt Ryan's contract is guaranteed through next year, so unfortunately, I doubt he gets benched. However, if the Colts keep playing this bad, guys like Will Levis and McCall from Coastal Carolina, I can't think of his first name at this point in time. Those are some good draft prospects that they could go after and learn from Matt Ryan for next year. However, yeah, I've said it before. I'm going to keep saying it every week. Matt Ryan is no upgrade over Carson Wentz. I told everybody that had ever watched the show that he has not been a good quarterback since 2018. And people were all on here like, oh, he hasn't had weapons. He hasn't had this. He hasn't had that. He is 38 years old, maybe. He's not a good quarterback. He just isn't. Yeah, he played in Atlanta forever and ever and ever. Sometimes guys just lose it. It happens. Matt Ryan is one of those guys. He just isn't a good quarterback. That's fine. But to sit here and think that from a talent perspective that he was better than Carson Wentz is laughable. I mean, truthfully, I'd rather have Wentz, and I know that he hasn't had the best start to his season either, holding on to the ball too long and throwing uncharacteristically more interceptions than he usually does. But Matt Ryan is terrible. It's a joke. It's laughable. And the fact that they guaranteed his whole $59 million contract for 2 years just makes the situation worse. There is no hotter seat in the NFL than Frank Reich's right now. I think he'll get this whole season, but if they keep trending this way, keep an eye out because he might not make it.
Yeah, I mean, if he doesn't make it, he goes back to being an offensive coordinator somewhere. I'm sure he could definitely get that job, but I don't think if he makes it in Indianapolis, I don't think he's a head coach for another 10 years.
And some dudes are better off being coordinators. You look at Todd Bowles. Todd Bowles has never been a good head coach, but he was a fantastic defensive coordinator under Bruce Arians. Some dudes just don't have it.
Yeah. I was good with my take on the hammered dog shit. We already briefly discussed the Falcons and the Browns. Let's get that out of the way. Tim, good for you picking the Falcons. Ryan and I fired away with the Browns. We obviously lost. Timmy, you got this one right. So how
it wasn't even like that. It wasn't even like that. I praised and praised.
Yeah, he sat here and praised the Browns, and then he tried to change his pick.
I praised the Browns, and then I said the Falcons. Stacy, my lovely wife, called me out on it.
Did the right thing.
And she'd have went in and changed that document to the Browns if they won. Cheating over there, some cheating.
No, I'm not Bill. I don't cheat around here.
What do I cheat on?
There's some cheating going on around here.
But
left out of the loop for sure.
But
I didn't cheat on anything.
The Browns haven't been playing the best football last week. They need to get back to let Jacoby Brissett hand the ball off to Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. Let him game manage more than anything else.
They did do that. I mean, Nick Chubb had a fantastic game.
They did. Well, Nick Chubb did.
I mean, Timmy and Stacy, you guys do a wonderful job keeping up with the document. Thank you so much.
Well played, Stacy. Well played. For those of you listening on Spotify, Stacy responded and said, Ryan, you sure you want to insult me? # no playing tonight for Timmy in reference to the game that they play together.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to issue a public apology and say that I was wrong. I need to upload that video ASAP, dude. That video is so good.
All right,
let's see. All right.
But yeah, I didn't get to give my take on the Browns.
I'm sorry, good.
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett had been playing well to that point, and he had a slip up. I mean, it happens. We weren't expecting world-beating numbers from Jacoby Brissett, but Nick Chubb did his thing again. Nick Chubb's a good ball player, good running back, arguably the best pure running back in the NFL, getting to display his talents.
And he's catching more passes out the backfield now, too.
Yeah, and they're utilizing him in the passing game, too. Nick Chubb is actually RB1 in fantasy right now, which is my biggest prize. We'll touch on that tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep, it is.
I don't really have a take on this game. I remember when I picked it, I said that I was going with the Browns simply because Jacoby at the time was playing really well. Obviously, that ended up not being the case. The Browns lose. It is what it is.
Which is funny because Mariota played like shit too.
Yeah, he did.
Next game on the docket. Commies visiting the Cowboys. I took the Commies. which is not something I will do the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Timmy and Ryan both took the Cowboys. Good for you, gentlemen. And yeah, Cowboys and Cooper Rush looking really good. Just gave it to the Commanders the whole game. So kudos to the Cowboys. They had a good game plan. They're using the play action really, really well, giving the ball to Tony Pollard the exact right amount, giving the ball to Zeke the right amount. And Cooper Rush has the best passer rating in the league right now when running off a play action. The dude's a starter. At least he showed so far that he could be a starter. So I don't think there's any reason for Dak Prescott to rush back unless he's like terrified Cooper Rush is actually going to take his job. And right now, shit, maybe.
There was a couple reports. There was one that said Dak got his stitches removed from his thumb earlier this week, which is true, and that he wanted to start throwing, and he was going to shoot to play against the Rams this coming week. However, Jerry Jones came out today and said that Dak Prescott's barely able to hold the football the way that they want him to. So him playing this week is looking less and less likely. I kind of agree with that statement. I think Dak is a little bit threatened by – his job is a little bit threatened. I mean, the owner, Jerry Jones, the end-all be-all in Dallas, has come out and said that, Cooper Rush could potentially take Dak's job. Not in that exact verbiage, but he did allude to something like that of that nature. It's very well possible. Cooper Rush is 4-0 as a starter for the Cowboys. And what has Dak Prescott done for them? It's NFL stands for not for long. It's what can you do for me now? And the Cowboys defense is playing out of this world. And as I touched on in previous shows, Tony Pollard will not outtouch Zeke this year. And this past game confirmed that. Zeke was not fantastic, 49 yards on the ground on 19 touches. However, Pollard was even worse with 6 yards on 8 carries. It was not a good running day for the Cowboys at all, which is very unlike them. However, Cooper Rush did exactly what he needed to do, and the defense was fantastic.
So Cooper Rush was throwing the ball more accurate than I thought he was going to be coming off the bench the last 2 weeks. He's throwing the ball to CeeDee Lamb. Lamb catching passes again somehow out of nowhere.
Yeah, now all of a sudden he can catch passes. Weird.
I denied so many trades with CeeDee Lamb a couple weeks ago. I'm kind of regretting, kind of don't, but it is what it is. But he's throwing the ball to the right people, other than Schultz, but Schultz is still kind of injured. But the defense is playing outstanding. Like, you're giving your backup quarterback a chance to win a game. That's what you need them to do. And basically playing that simple. Like, your defense plays well enough, your backup quarterback can win a game.
It's one thing to say, oh, your defense is playing well and they're carrying a worn-down Peyton Manning through a Super Bowl. It's another thing to say your defense is playing well and Cooper Rush is scoring 30 points a game.
I mean, he hasn't scored 30 points a game yet.
You're right. 24 or more points a game. That's like –
That's still good.
Yeah, Cooper Rush deserves credit for what he's doing right now, which is making Dak Prescott shake in his boots.
The Cowboys look like legitimate division contenders. Fly, Eagles, fly.
Next.
Well, let's move on to the Eagles.
I had to say that because it's the truth.
It is.
You're right. Week 1, we did not feel this way. The Cowboys looked really, really bad. Dak Prescott went down. He got hurt. All of a sudden, it was like, okay, well, now who's going to challenge the Eagles for the division? And the answer is the Cowboys. So good for them. I still think our Birds right now have the edge, especially since they're the only undefeated team left in the NFL, after taking on Doug Peterson's Jacksonville Jaguars in a rainy, stormy, crappy weather game at the Link on Sunday. Listen, the Eagles go down 14 points. Their backs are against the wall at the end of the first quarter. They score 29 unanswered. The 29-21 score is not indicative of how well the defense played, because obviously 7 points on the pick six weren't on the defense. You're talking they got 4 strip sack fumbles out of Trevor Lawrence's hands. One was Trevor Lawrence. I get that, but Cox falls on the ball. It counts. And then throws a bad pick to James Bradbury, who made a phenomenal play at the goal line. Look, the Eagles defense is legit. We were super worried week 1. The Lions put up 35 points on them, but look at what the Lions have been doing.
I think that's more indicative of who the Lions are this year than who the Eagles are.
Correct. Yeah. The Eagles defense is legit, and let's not put away. Jalen Hurts throws a bad ball. I said it earlier in the show. Comes back, finds ways to get down the field, find ways to make first downs, finds ways to score. Jalen Hurts, against adversity, turned the entire game around and literally put the team on his back outside of the defense and said, listen, we're not out. We got punched in the mouth. It's time to punch back. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll give props to Jalen Hurts when he does something well. I don't think he had his best game, but I am, like I did with Trey Lance week 1, all of that is a wash because that weather, it was awful. And to talk to our boys at Talking 215, who all 3 of them actually made that game, by the way. Joey made it up from Jacksonville, so all 3 of them could watch that game. He even said it best. If you weren't there, you don't understand how bad that weather was. I mean, we're talking remnants of a hurricane rain here. So I'm not even going to sit here and bash Trevor Lawrence for turning the football over 5 times because the weather was just bad. I'm going to watch this whole game out. But to me, the Eagles are just a good team. That James Bradbury made a fantastic play on a good ball, and the Eagles did exactly what they needed to do. It's wet, hack at the football. If you're close to Trevor Lawrence, take a swing at the football. This is a good defense. And to touch on the Jacksonville side, because I know Tim's probably going to touch on the Eagles, this is a good team. This is a team that punched, like I previously alluded to, punched the Chargers in the mouth, man. They beat them 38-10. And they run the ball well. James Robinson has looked fantastic coming back off his Achilles injury. Trevor Lawrence has looked amazing prior to this game, making leaps and bounds over his rookie season. And Doug Peterson has this team going in the right direction, properly utilizing all of the offensive weapons at his disposal. This is a good Jaguars team. This was a good win for the Philadelphia Eagles. Tim is on mute.
No, it's fine. There's one player we didn't touch on.
I'm about to do it. You shut the hell up. Let me talk.
Can't believe I didn't say it. We got to give credit to I had it and you ruined it. Backup lineman that came in for Mailata.
Jack Driscoll.
Jack Driscoll. Listen, I know you're like, oh, Jack Driscoll. Mailata went down in the first quarter, and Driscoll kept people off of Hurts the rest of the game. You got to give credit where it's due. I know who you want to touch on, and I wasn't going to go there. I was going to let you do it. But Jack Driscoll deserved a shout out as well. It's definitely Miles Sanders.
It definitely is.
Yeah. All right. Continue, Tim.
So we can't forget about Miles Sanders. Like Ryan said, at the reminiscence of a hurricane. It's going to be windy. It's going to be rainy. I woke up Sunday morning with Miles Sanders out my fantasy lineup. And I said, it's going to be a rainy-ass day. I'm putting that mofo in. And he put up points. 129 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is the Miles Sanders we need.
Receiving work too.
Yeah, this is the Miles Sanders we need for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Here
comes so many more options for us.
Here comes the problem. What are you paying this guy? Because he's a free agent. Well, we'll touch on that Thursday. We got a whole Eagles episode. We got games to cover. We're still in the 1 o'clock area, and we're 48 minutes into this show. We're not going to try and rush our way through, but we got some ground to cover. We'll touch on the Eagles more in depth Thursday.
Yep.
I'm sure Bill's okay with that.
Next.
Sorry, I got a weird notification that said 2 key Jets linemen found dead. And I thought it was like the current Jets, and it's not. It's from the 80s. Now, unfortunately, Jim Powell and somebody else unfortunately have passed away. But I thought it was like of the current Jets, and that's why my brain went to that. So I do apologize for interrupting the show. Condolences go out to both of their families, and we obviously wish your families the best. Going back to the predictions, we got about 10 minutes to roll through 5 more games.
We got this.
No, we're not on a time limit.
Yeah.
I know you'd like it to be an hour, but if we talk more about sports, who cares?
Cardinals versus the Panthers. Cardinals visiting the Panthers. Cardinals come out on top. Ryan picks this game correctly. The Panthers are another team that just looked lost. And I don't mean the entire team, but Baker Mayfield just looks lost.
He needs to use his weapons.
that whole last drive was DJ Moore and Christian McCaffrey, and they scored a touchdown.
Exactly.
It's not rocket science down there. And Baker Mayfield's making this way more complicated. Overutilizing Robbie Anderson. I get it. He's throw it to him if he's open. But you can't do that at the neglect of Christian McCaffrey, who is arguably the best weapon coming out of the backfield, and DJ Moore, who has been one of the most sure-handed, best route-running receivers in the NFL since he got here. This is just a complete misutilization of weapons. It's a terribly boring offense. The Panthers are a team. The Panthers and the Bears are absolutely 2 teams that I don't care how many games in a row that they win. I'm not picking them to win any football games this year. They look terrible. Until Baker is benched for Sam Darnold, who was reportedly not close to coming off of IR. So Panthers fans, you get more Baker Mayfield. Hang in there. RIP in peace. # top 5 pick. But look, the Cardinals don't look fantastic either. For a team that went 13-4 last year, they look like they are desperately missing DeAndre Hopkins. But the fact that Kyler Murray is starting to utilize Marquise Brown to his strengths, pushing the ball downfield with him a little bit more, and utilizing Zach Ertz in the red zone and up the seam, that until D-Hop comes back, it's those two guys. And once they get James Conner involved, maybe they'll be an elite offense again. But until then, they're not fantastic either, in all honesty, but they're certainly leaps and bounds ahead of the Panthers. The Panthers and Bears are the two worst teams to watch in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I was also going to comment on the fact that the Cardinals didn't look good. Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, I agree with Ryan. And you, Bill, the Cardinals didn't look that good either. Kyler Murray, I think with the first drive, he had a pick 6 right off the bat. The first couple of throws he thrown, he had bad read, didn't really cover. I saw the dude from a mile away come in, and he still threw the ball and pick 6 easy.
Quarterback Timmy for BSing Sports.
To be fair, Kyler Murray probably forgot his step stool, couldn't see over the offensive lineman.
You're right, he is shorter than me. You're right. But and I'm a fan watching Red Zone. You know how it is. But he needs to make better decisions when he's outside the pocket, running down the field, not even running down the field, scrambling, trying to make plays. He's so much more accurate, in my opinion. Because he gets open up the field more so his guys can get open. The game plan for him need to be that outside boot throwing deep, in my opinion.
He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL. I think he was third in PFF last year and throws over 20 yards in the air. They need to utilize his arm strength better. And truthfully, it was being set up because they could run the ball with James Conner. They need to get the running game going, get some play action, get some bootlegs, push the ball down the field. That's why you went out and got Marquise Brown.
Yes, exactly. My point. But going back to Baker Mayfield, I don't know what his problem is. He has a top wide receiver on the Browns in Odell Beckham. Odell wanted to leave immediately. DJ Moore. I hear the trade talk between the Chiefs and DJ Moore. Like, DJ Moore want to be out of there with Baker there for some reason.
If DJ Moore goes to the Chiefs, dude, I'm going to be so ecstatic. But, I mean, he just signed a contract extension with them. So,
yeah, I'm not entirely sure the Chiefs can actually afford DJ Moore. Like, the trade chips might be able to be found, but, I mean, you're paying Patrick Mahomes $500 million. Like, it's going to be tough to be paying somebody else some kind of money. But if DJ Moore goes to the Chiefs, that's just – I know. I apologize for the glare. I've been as I pointed out, I've been working from home, and I've been staring at these screens for just about 10 hours today, and I've got a migraine from staring at them. So my blue light lenses are on now. So again, apologize for the glare. However, to Ryan's point, if DJ Moore goes to the Chiefs, man, I'm telling you that would be a completely different looking team, and they're already a good team.
The Chiefs are, not the Panthers. The Panthers.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously, yeah, not the Panthers. The Panthers are absolutely horrendous. We already touched on that. Ryan and I will go through the Raiders and Broncos game until Timmy gets back. Look, you already pointed it out.
You knew this game wasn't going to be that good, and good job for the Raiders to actually win this game. I didn't.
It didn't look like either team wanted to actually win.
I picked the Broncos between us, but there was something in my gut that told me the Raiders were going to win. Just as teams don't go – I said this before the game, just as teams don't go undefeated, teams don't lose every game, but I didn't think that was going to change. Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett is not head coaching material, truthfully, in all honesty. There's just no way that the Broncos are even going to be a competitive team. And the Raiders, yes, they look better today, but I don't know if that's a product of just playing a bad Broncos team or if they actually look better. Only time will answer that question. But that's really all I have to say about this game. I don't care either way. The Broncos are a mess.
Timmy, good for you picking the Raiders. Did you have like a gut feeling, or was it just literally the Broncos are shit and I need to take the team playing them?
Ryan said it a million times. Teams don't go undefeated. Teams don't go defeated.
And I should listen to my own damn advice. Why did I say that out loud and then pick the Broncos?
So basically I took that advice and the fact that Broncos. I also took in the Broncos wasn't playing well at all. They haven't been good. They haven't been utilizing what they need to Carlos Hyde, Jerry Judy, Javonte Williams, who unfortunately is now out for the year with a
torn ACL, LCL.
Dude, Javonte Williams, let's touch on him real quick. Javonte Williams has a torn ACL, torn LCL, and like the corner of some other ligament in his knee. Apparently, he's got like a really long road back, like even longer than J.K. Dobbins' back. So this year and probably all of next year, you can just wash Javonte Williams out.
Yeah. So people were trying to get me to trade for him, and I just wasn't offering up anything. I know he wasn't going to be here for a while. But it is what it is. But like I said, the Broncos haven't been using Russell Wilson well, or they have a lot of studs on that offense. They get to have to start using them more.
I'm glad you pointed that out. The Broncos aren't using Russell Wilson correctly, and they're not. Russell Wilson has looked lost. Listen, it's a new offense. Everybody can, it's a new offense. You got to get, mesh with the new offense. The reality of it is Russell Wilson's not good at doing a 3-step drop and firing the football out. He's just not. He hasn't been his entire career. What he's good at is helping his receivers create space by creating time in the backfield. So for me, I think you need to start giving Russell Wilson some more 5 and 7-step drops and seeing what he can see down the field instead of telling him this is your hot route, hit it. Because what's happening is when he is forced to make plays, he's forced to run around. Those are the plays that go furthest for the Broncos. And it's just the truth if you're looking at the film. I'm not saying he's looked good, and I'm not saying it's entirely the coaching and the game plan and the scheming, because some of it does absolutely fall on Russell Wilson. But they're also not, Ryan, Tim, I say it every week. Put your players in a position to be successful based on their skill set. And the Broncos aren't doing it. So to Ryan's point, Nathaniel Hackett, you got to go. And Russell Wilson, the reality is really you hold Nathaniel Hackett's job in your hands. It's up to you.
How long are we going to sit here and blame the coaches for not utilizing Russell Wilson properly instead of looking the other way and saying, maybe Russell Wilson isn't this elite level talent that we all think that he is? I mean, we've been saying the same stuff for years, and now it's under a different coaching staff. Granted, Nathaniel Hackett does look lost, but it's a different coaching staff, a different situation, and we're saying the same exact stuff. I'm starting to believe that Russell Wilson is not as good of a quarterback as everybody wants him to be.
Yeah, you pay a quarterback $250 million. I think $200 a guarantee for a contract. He has to play better.
You got to be good at 3-step drops. I don't care if that's his strength or not. You got to be at least good at it.
Exactly. Like it don't matter. You have to. They're paying you a lot of money to be the star quarterback. Time to step up. Time to be that star quarterback.
Listen, I don't disagree with what you guys are saying. I really don't. We had our quarterback rankings in the preseason, and I didn't even have Russell Wilson in the top 20. And I remember getting a little bit of flack for it, but I didn't really think Russell Wilson was going to be performing that well. Granted, fantasy versus reality, and I understand that whole aspect of it. But when you're looking at what Russell Wilson is good at, and you're just refusing to let him do it, yes, I agree he should be good at 3-step drops. However, you as a coach also need to be putting your players in a position to be successful.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, but at the same time, as an organization, I'm not paying $250 million to somebody that can't do everything at least above average.
That, you know what? That's a fantastic point. You're right. Moving off of the horrendous Broncos-Raiders game, let's go to – listen, we all got this game right. The Packers win. I think we really need to be talking about what's his name? Bailey Zapke or Bailey Zappe?
You know it. Clap your hands.
Listen, this is a third-string quarterback. Nobody knew his name. He's a rookie. And he went, listen, the defense played really well. The Packers offense didn't play super phenomenal, but he goes punch for punch with Aaron Rodgers.
Now, I knew we were going to get to this point. I knew we were going to talk about this game. I compare context to this, right? Let's add some context into things because context is crucial. August 19th, I have a buddy, Alex, whose birthday it is. And then August 20th, I have another friend who turns the same age as Alex just a day later. If you walk up to Alex at 11:59 p.m. on August 19th, he is technically 1 year older than my buddy Jake. However, that's obviously not the case because when you dive deep down into it, he's 1 day older. That's what I compare context to. Blanket statements, whatever. When you go in as the Packers and you game plan for X, which was Brian Hoyer. or even slightly Mac Jones. Now, we all realistically knew he wasn't going to play, but he wasn't announced officially out until the night before. So they probably did at least practice for him a little bit. Bailey Zappi is neither Brian Hoyer nor Mac Jones. He's been studying the offense. He's actually probably been used as the mirror of Aaron Rodgers in practice because that's usually what the third-string quarterbacks do. So he kind of knew, like that was his responsibility. There's got to be some context to it. When you prepare for somebody else and you get something entirely different, it does throw you off. Yes, the Packers are also without Jair Alexander. Blanket statement, Aaron Rodgers did what he needed to do to win that football game. Packers came out on top.
So I want to talk about the Packers real quick. They're not utilizing Aaron Jones or A.J. Dillon. They need to start running the ball. There's a good, strong offense. I feel like I'm yelling. On my fault.
No, you're fine.
They have a good, strong running offense. They need to start running the ball more.
Jones got 20 touches this past game. Dillon also carried the ball 17 times. I think that's part of what the issue is that they're running the ball a little bit too much.
I'm sorry. I meant you got me on that. I meant the passing.
Yeah.
They both have good hand at the backfield, and Aaron Rodgers don't even look at them at the backfield. Half the time they're wide open. From what I've seen on the gameplays, half the time they're wide open, rolling out the backfield, while Aaron Rodgers had the eyes down the field trying to make a big play to Randall Cobb or Christian
Romeo
Ross.
Dobbs.
Alan Lazard's looked pretty good in the games that he's played.
Yes, yes.
I think he's kind of the unmentioned wide receiver one in Green Bay, but Romeo Dobbs has played pretty well too. And they're starting – I like the way that they utilize Christian Watson. I just don't think they do it enough.
He had a nice little end of Allen touchdown.
Yeah, that gadgety type stuff, that's exactly what Christian Watson's good at,
Like a Chase Claypool type of thing.
So I've got a question for you guys. We got one more NFC team or game to touch on, but I'm going to ask it while we're sitting here right now because we just discussed the other good team in the NFC.
Packers. I know where this is going. Packers until they do it.
What was the question?
Are the Eagles the best team in the NFC?
Nah, give me the Packers still.
We'll find out in October or November. Excuse me. We'll find out in November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I actually am with you guys. I know that the Eagles' record is 4-0 and the Packers are 3-1. Packers have lost a divisional game against the Vikings, who at the time we thought were a good team. It's just so hard to bet against Aaron Rodgers, in addition to the fact that defense is playing well. I know that they just gave up, 28 points to the Patriots. There was one delay game that wasn't called that did lead to a touchdown for the Patriots. I mean, there's something to be talked about in that too. Blanket statements. Aaron Rodgers did everything he needed to do. But for me, I also agree. For right here where we sit right now, it is still the Packers. It is not the Eagles. Now, do I put the Eagles above the Buccaneers? I think I'm pretty close to doing it. Are the Eagles above the Rams? Absolutely.
I'm saying the Eagles are second best now.
There it is. Okay, see there. I think I'm also right there.
Yeah.
I think it's at the point now where if the game's in Philadelphia, I'm picking the Eagles, and if the game's in Lambeau, I'm picking the Packers. That's how close that is to me.
That's a great pick. Take. I mean,
you give me the Eagles 5-1 at their break, which is after the Cowboys game next week. Not this upcoming week, the following week. I think I might have that same exact opinion. If it's in Lambeau, give me the Packers. If it's in Philly, give me the Birds. Now, having said that, historically the Eagles have gone to Lambeau and won.
Recently, the last couple of years, yeah, they've done a lot better with it.
So it's not necessarily out of the realm of ideas, but I do believe if they're in Lambeau, the Packers get the nod on this one.
That game's in Lambeau, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
give me a second. I can look it up.
Thanks. I appreciate that. Let's jump into the Chiefs and Buccaneers game. 31-41 finish on Sunday Night Football that I watched from my driveway because I had a projector set up. It looked real nice.
Another game that wasn't nearly as close as the score indicated.
That is correct. There was never a point in this game where I thought to myself, the Buccaneers could really pull this out. There just wasn't.
There was kind of that feeling where they kept going down by 10, and you get that sense where it's like one slip up by the Chiefs and the Bucs can make this comeback, and it just never happened. Like I touched on earlier, Todd Bowles is a great defensive coordinator. His defense looks so lost right now. The Bucs defense, it's not the offense that I'm worried about. Their defense is atrocious.
To our point, you and I discussed it. We think this is the game the Buccaneers offense gets going, and we both said it. They still lose. Guess what? They put up 31 points and they still lost.
Yeah, the Chief. First off, Patrick Mahomes played an outstanding game. I'm glad that they played against each other, though. I am so tired of this crap that the NFL is pushing on us that Patrick Mahomes is the next Tom Brady. Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady are nothing alike stylistically. Tom Brady wouldn't leave the pocket if you paid him $5 million to do it. If you threw $10 million in a sack right outside the tackle box, Tom Brady ain't moving an inch. Patrick Mahomes is dynamic. He's electric. So, yes, while maybe in the sense that he's the most talented in a generation, sure, but this generation of quarterbacks is a lot more talented than what Tom Brady's had to deal with in the last 20. Yes, Peyton Manning was there, who I would still put above anybody in this generation. You have Aaron Rodgers, but then you get into that weird like Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning, where I am taking the Joe Burrows, the Lamar Jacksons, the Justin Herberts, I'm taking all them dudes over those guys. I mean, even in their primes, yes, Ben was good in his prime. Phillip Rivers was good in his prime. Eli was good in his prime. Drew Brees was good in his prime. I'm taking, if we're counting Mahomes and Allen as the top two, we'll give them the Brady Manning crown. Then you go into that next tier of quarterbacks. I'm taking the next tier of quarterbacks now versus the last 20 years. I just think that the quarterback landscape now is so much more competitive than what it was over the course of Tom Brady's career.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah. To go back on the Packers-Eagles game, it's in Lincoln.
It's in Philly.
Yeah.
I might be taking the Birds. You got any feelings on the Packer or the Chiefs Buccaneers game there, Tim? Or
they're not. So the Bucs went down quick right off the bat, 7-0.
Yeah,
they got away from the running game, in my opinion. I know
they ran the ball one time in the first half.
Leonard Fournette was rushed 3 times, -3 yards. He had a lot of passing yards. I'm not denying he got into the passing game, but you can't abandon the run game. We always say that you cannot abandon the run game. So,
especially when your defense is playing as bad as it was. Granted, I know you can score points, but in the air you do it a lot quicker. Keep your defense off the field.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, that's huge. Keep your defense off the field, and that's really the way the Colts beat the Chiefs last week. Is they really just kept the Chiefs off the field for the most part, and that's how you're going to have to do it. That's how you're going to have to beat the Chiefs, by keeping them off the field.
Yep.
So yeah, Timmy T, I 100%. They got away from the run super early after the fumble on the original kickoff, and they went down 7-0. And then they just never, that game wasn't as close as it looked. Like, to Ryan's point, there was like several times where you're looking at it and you're like, you know what, they might have a shot, but it never felt like they had a shot. Like,
no, the Chiefs just answered right back every single time.
Yep.
Correct. All right, last game, Monday Night Football. The Rams go to San Francisco and get Stafford looked bad. 24-9 in favor of the Niners. Stafford looked bad.
The 49ers must be part owners of the Rams. I mean, that's 7 straight regular season wins against the Rams. And yes, it wasn't a fantastic game. Sean McVay's got to figure something out, because this Pepper and Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee down the field stuff isn't going to work, because like the Vikings, they were terrible in the red zone. They kicked 3 field goals in the red zone. You can't do that against good teams, and the 49ers are a good team. I don't know if it's the 49ers live rent-free in the Rams' head or what, but they got to figure something out. Like the Vikings, you can't kick field goals in the red zone and beat good teams. It's just not going to happen.
So I listened to a podcast on the way to work the other day.
Was it BS Sports? Those guys are pretty good.
They're all right, but they were talking about the 49ers and Rams game. They're saying from last year, the playoff game, they had so much left, so much energy about that playoff game, so much left on the field, that they all brought back and came out on fire. And it proved it. Like, yeah, the Rams won the Super Bowl, but the 49ers absolutely should have won that game in the playoffs. Dropped interception.
But they didn't.
You're right, and they didn't.
But they didn't.
So they left everything on the field last night.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I do agree with you. I think what the biggest thing here was, Shanahan just got a game plan against McVay, and it's always better. It's just better. So
I mean,
we talk about coaching. We talk about coaching all the time. We talk about coaching, and in this scenario, yes, the players play the game and they have to execute, but Shanahan's got a game plan for McVay's team. It's like he knows that they are the probably better team in the division, and he has to find ways to beat them, or they aren't going to get through the playoffs. And he's got a game plan every single time. It's like McVay is playing a game behind against Shanahan, and it looks that way every time.
I think that the Rams are the better team up and down the roster. One, the Rams haven't looked particularly like themselves early in the year anyway. But two, this is like a boxing match. When you talk about boxing, where MMA styles make good matches. And this is what that is. I think stylistically, the 49ers are just a problem for the Rams. I don't think that they'll be able to figure it out. And truthfully, as we've touched on multiple times, the Rams got kind of lucky in that NFC Championship game that Tart dropped that interception when he, ran the post route for Cooper Kupp. So to me, they're just a problem for the Rams.
So McVay's game plan is get Cooper Kupp the ball as much as he can, and Shanahan knows it.
Everyone in the NFL knows it. The difference is Shanahan schemes better.
Exactly. So, like, Shanahan knows what to do to prevent it, and McVay McVay can't make the halftime adjustment to work something out.
The Rams were so much better in the red zone last year than they are this year. I don't know what the difference is, but Higbee's become a threat now. You went out and you signed huge receiver Allen Robinson just for this. Use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Robinson was targeted twice in the end zone, and both times the ball was poorly thrown.
No, the defender made a good play on the first one.
That's true. The defender made a good play on the first one. And listen, if you're Allen, like 50-50 balls are supposed to be your specialty. Go get that football.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys got anything else before we sign off? One quick mention of our Philadelphia Phillies clinching a playoff berth last night. Red October, baby.
Thursday, we got an episode playoff preview coming your way. Also, there's going to be a little, now that StreamYard has video editing, I'm going to clip a part of a video. I want y'all to listen to this. Listen to how many wins I said the Phillies were going to have.
I like it.
Between 86 and 88, I said that. And now they can only finish with 86 or 87.
I like it. What did I say? 91, right?
I think you were in the 90s.
I wasn't a part of that show.
Probably not. But yeah, so ton of shows coming up this week. Obviously, we just did our recap show with you for the last hour and 15 minutes. Tomorrow night, Timmy and Ryan run their absolutely fantastic fantasy football episode. It's going to be coming to you live at 8 p.m. because we found out that we get more interaction later in the evening. Imagine that. While people aren't sitting down eating dinner. So good for you guys to figure out the logistics of that and get that squared away. If I have time, I might hop on, but probably not. It's your show. You enjoy. And then Thursday, we got another special episode coming to Philly fans. We're going to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies and their quest to, number 3, and number 3 being the third World Series title. And also the Philadelphia Eagles, and specifically the topic of, well, I don't want to give it away. We'll discuss it on the show. But we're going to talk Philadelphia Eagles, and we have a special guest coming to us on Thursday night. And then Friday, obviously, we do our predictions show. So we're a busy bunch here at BSing Sports. So you guys got anything left before I close out?
Yeah, check us out every day.
I'm good, man. Go Phils.
Thank you for joining us here at BSing Sports, where we do a little BS and we talk a whole lot of sports. Have a good night.
Another